I can't see without my device. Internet world, good patriots, good citizens, and neither can blind justice. Hashtag free blind justice. I spoke to the medical liaison on behalf of Mike Nelson. Prisoner ID number T as in Thomas 712818. I repeat that because that's the first question that you'll be asked when you call respectfully on behalf of Mike Nelson's welfare, known as T as in Thomas 712818. I spoke to medical liaison, Mrs. Sanderford, as an intermediary between Mike and the injustice that's been served upon him through exercising his muscles of the First Amendment and his legal rights under legislature of the American Disabilities Act, both federally and according to the North Carolina legislature. Mike would simply like them to follow their own rules, law. So Mike has been transferred from county facilities to the state prison for his own safety. And I would say that that was probably a reasonable thing to do under such unreasonable circumstances, and yearn for the time where we can have public servants and police forces who don't try to practice retribution because they don't like their own power being infringed upon, when it is we who gave them those privileges of power and can take them away as well. Mrs. Sanderford was actually quite nice. She returned my phone call. We spent 8 civil minutes, in talking about Mike's welfare, and I could sense clearly and transparently medical field, because she still wants to care for people and has a sense of justice, though can't speak her mind because of her position. And we all understand that. Mrs. Sanderford's supervisor is Mr. Halloway, to deal with the situation at hand and to get Mike out as expeditiously and as whole as we can, and do it lawfully and force others to work within the law. If it comes to it, have new court precedent be made that benefits us. I want to make some happy videos. There is good news at hand, and we'll make Mike's into good news too. Refuses at the moment, last I've heard, to use his bail bonds abilities on the $50,000 bond that was placed against his freedom. And he would still also be sequestered at home, only to be able to go out to court hearings. I don't know if he can go out to visit his attorney, or whether his attorney has to come to him, and whether he has to count on other people to get his food. But I'd rather him be home, and I'd rather him not be a martyr. There's no reason, Mike, for you to be a martyr for the cause at this point. Be home and stay healthy so you can have decades longer to fight for liberty for progeny. We'll get that bond up, and good legal representation, not some fly-by-night attorney. If we can get you bonded out, there's nothing for you to prove, unless it's for other reasons that might extend liberty. It'd be a shame to have it at your physical cost, is all I'm saying. That may not be necessary, but I can understand your desire to do so. It's been difficult getting press to answer the call. Mike's PayPal, I'll enter that below. Mike's email, I'll enter that below. Please don't overwhelm Mrs. Justice with emails that aren't of import. PayPal is better than Super Chats because it takes a much smaller cut, and more can go towards Mrs. Justice, in whose name the PayPal account is. The medical liaison, Mrs. Sanderford, said they're contacting the social worker. I had asked about an ADA representative, both federal and state, and there were some things that she couldn't quite answer, but I knew that she wanted to. It sounded as though ADA has not quite been set up from what I could gather. We're tired of injustices. It's never going to be perfect. Trust but verify. Moving can make it incrementally better. More cameras equals more justice. Teach our children who are like-minded, who simply think it's a good idea to teach the Constitution and civics in school again. That's not a big ask. Get some 70-year-olds and 60-year-olds to join you. They still remember what liberty felt like when we could trick or treat outside by ourselves. You might not ever get that again. But, life is compromised when you have large populations. I also called the jail. Mike's official transfer is for mental health, which in itself is interesting, of course. It could have been for ADA reasons. County isn't qualified to handle ADA cases, but they put down mental health, which was the information that Central Prison Switchboard at the 919-733-0800 said he was admitted to the Central Prison for mental health, not for medical reasons, not for ADA reasons, not even for his own safety, but for mental health. Now, I don't know whether this is automatic process or whether this is a choice of language, and if so, why did they choose that term? And if is that a possible extension trying to build a case against Mike? And why would anyone want to do so for such an innocuous difference between whether to consider a cell phone with an application device and bone vibrational device, anything else that can help Mike be a more independent human being? We don't ask hearing impaired to take out their hearing aid or someone with a prosthesis to remove their leg. So it's a reasonable issue that someone clearly had to make a stand in North Carolina, or else this would never be resolved for others. For there should be others to follow who would be happy to have such assistance to make them a more whole human being, to allow them to be independent. We all like to be on our own. What harm was Mike doing? Is it the old theory, if I do it for you, I'll have to do it for everyone? Is Mike trying to get away with something? Well, let the courts decide that. So please don't think that Mike is making a nuisance of himself. If it is, it's a necessary nuisance for the benefit of others, and so there won't be such hardships. And if the state feels that it can make a strong case as to why it thinks Mike is asking a bridge too far, let them explain themselves, please. The people are asking and inquiring of you. We're demanding an explanation, and Mike is paying the price for it. I'm proud of you, Mike. I never served in the military, but you, sir, are still honoring your oath. I wish you a speedy return to freedom. And good patriots and good citizens, never give up. Never give up as long as that last flicker of freedom still avails us. I wish you all well, ending with a smile. Peace, y'all. End stream.